Hello, everyone, and welcome to the event Cultivate Wellness, Holistic Practices to Promote Mental Health. My name is David Moreno, and I'm currently the chair-elect of the USC Young Alumni Council. Before we begin the event this evening, I'd just like to give you an overview of our organization and the event itself. So we, the Young Alumni Council, we serve all young alumni aged 35 and under. However, our programming is open to anyone who is interested. When USC students graduate from their undergraduate or graduate programs, they automatically become members of the USC Alumni Association without having to pay any dues or other fees, which is awesome. Our mission is to advise the Alumni Association and the university on ideas for engaging the 35 and under alumni demographic, which we accomplish through professional development, social and cultural events, while also acting as an advisory council connecting this generation of alumni to each other and the university. You can stay engaged and informed with our ongoing programming by following or liking us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, looking for @USC Young Alumni, as many of you may have found out about this event that way, or searching us on LinkedIn, looking up USC Young Alumni works as well. You can also visit alumni.usc.edu to view our future programming and the programming of other alumni groups as well. You can find more information on the other alumni groups, which are age-based groups like ours, affinity groups, industry networks, and other school-based groups. And now moving on to this evening's event, please feel free throughout the event to submit questions during the presentation via the Q&A Zoom feature, and we'll get through as many as time permits later on following the presentation. And I'd now like to introduce our awesome presenter for the evening, Dr. Clinton Bullock. He's dedicated his life to assisting individuals in overcoming obstacles, achieving their personal and professional goals, and creating the lives that they ideally wish to lead. He currently serves as CEO of Clinton Bullock Coaching and has helped many people in taking the necessary steps to overcome negative and hindering thoughts and emotions to create their best life. And he is also a fellow Trojan with a Doctor of Education and Organizational Change and Leadership from the USC Rossier School of Education, among other degrees that he holds. Thank you for being here with us this evening, Dr. Bullock, and I now turn it over to you.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that. It's great to be here with all of you. It's a great night, and we're gonna have fun tonight. I'm just gonna go through some slides and so forth, and I'm gonna hopefully there's some information here and tidbits that you can take with you to actually advance your world, advance your life. And I know that we've all had a very trying time in 2020, and sometimes we miss things and take things for granted and all of these things. And sometimes we just need to look at things and shift our paradigm sometimes to get the things that we want. So I just wanted to go through a couple of things, and hopefully this allows some of us and perhaps all of us to feel a little better about what's to come, because the difference between us failing and moving forward is just a paradigm shift. And so I just want to give you that, and please write down any questions you have or put in the chat box or what have you, because there will be a Q&A. I really enjoy Q&A. So here we go. Here are some ways to cultivate wellness through holistic practices that promote mental health. So here is that it's really important, especially back in 2020, but we're here right now, to maintain a routine. And a good example of that is through exercise. They made a joke, they called it COVID-19 because people were gaining 19 pounds or more. And but this is very key here, because it's very important for us to keep doing the things that we were doing, or actually, since we're in a place sometimes, depending on our what we're doing, because there were actually people who have more time to invest in their lives during this time, to actually exercise and do positive things with your life. So we'll get to the other positive things, but definitely exercising, moving your body is very important. And like I said, it's either important to do the things that you were doing before, or engage in things, because a lot of us have more time than we did before, especially, or our time is different because now, let's say we're working from home. then in between breaks or whatever, we can do push-ups or sit-ups or go for, a mile run, 2 mile run in half an hour, something like that we could not do when we're actually in an actual office space. So those are some of the things that make this actually work out a little better. This calisthenics, so you don't have to go to the gym. I know that gyms have been closed and so forth. Obviously, depending on the state, but particularly in California, gyms have been closed. So it's really important to keep the body moving, as the body and the mind are connected. And how you feel in the body definitely affects the mind, and how you feel in the mind definitely affects the body. Definitely something I got into. There was in 2020, COVID obviously produced a world anxiety. It is beyond measure, right? So a lot of people got into the breathing and meditation. And I want to say this, one of my clients couldn't sleep for the whole year during COVID. She couldn't sleep. She lost her job, all of these things. And what happens when she came to me, she was a wreck in this area. She couldn't sleep, and therefore she couldn't recover. And she had a lot of issues, and actually physical issues and mental issues, because she wasn't sleeping. She had insomnia. So what we did was we worked on a specific breathing exercise that allowed her to actually, that cured her in insomnia. That we actually did it on the first session that we had together. And she, during session number 2, she came back and said, it cured my insomnia. I couldn't believe it. So meditating and doing breathing exercises, sometimes they can be looked at as separate things, but sometimes they can be combined for the ultimate experience. And because what that does, it lessens anxiety, it lessens depression. It allows you to center yourself so you can remain calm. So there's apps out there. Talk to me afterwards, and we can definitely get into that. But these are some of the things that we can maintain and actually do, because we need more assistance during this time, especially during times when there's a lot of unsure times that are still perhaps coming. I just read an article yesterday that there was an increase of COVID cases in about 23 states. So anxiety still exists. So we have to understand and feel ways in which we can calm ourselves in the storm. That's really what we want to do, because it could be COVID, it could be anything else. We get into a car accident, whatever. We have to know how to function effectively within the storm. Okay. Read. There are readers out there. I'm sure for all the people that registered for this wellness seminar today, that there are a lot of people that like to read. Reading is entertaining, it's educational, it's very good for a lot of people to get into that reading. And so you can actually read about things that you enjoy reading about, especially while you're being isolated or quarantined or what have you. Definitely, because this actually allows you to be, again, with yourself, with your thoughts, just reading. And there are plenty of people who actually enjoy this practice right here. So reading is one of those things that we can actually, like I said, get back to what we were doing before, because we were too busy with our busy lives before COVID, but then actually go back to the things that actually made us feel good. And if reading was one of those things, then that's something that we definitely should do. But I do want to emphasize that when I say reading, I mean something that is actually going to push you forward or educate you in somehow, or be entertaining to you in somehow. A lot of people are definitely, especially a lot of my clients, are definitely reading a lot about negative things. They go on social media. And when I say reading, I meant like this book that you're seeing perhaps, or something like that. But people get on social media. And it's actually proven through many, many studies that the more people invest their time in social media, scrolling, reading Facebook, Instagram, and so forth, the less happy that they are. So they're not as happy. These people are not as happy, as opposed to limiting that. So that's what I suggested, limiting your amount of time that you're actually on social media, so you can actually get the work done that you want to get done. Journaling. There are people who like to write. I'm one of those people. I write out a lot of things. of course, when we, for those who love to write, they get to write out their emotions. They get to write out what they're feeling. They get to write out a lot of different things. So getting to write out and journal what's going on in your world is another expression. So you don't have to tell anybody. It's just a matter of you doing this for yourself. So journaling is just different, obviously, from reading, but it's just a different way of expression, self-expression. And it allows you to get that out about what's been happening to you all day, the anxiety you felt. Maybe you haven't seen grandmom in 5 months, whatever the case is. So you definitely want to write these things down so that you get that out. You do need an outlet, and that's huge. A lot of people bottle things up, especially during these hard times, bottle things up. Outlet is key. Outlet is key. Outlet is key. And these are definitely some outlets that will hopefully push us forward. One of the greatest things here I want to say is during this time, it's really, really important, if you haven't already done so, to establish or reestablish relationships. There are people who are going through still hard times, especially in different parts. Not everyone's from California. Maybe you got family in other places. I know, for example, my grandmother. She lives in an assisted living home. She's 84 years old, and she's not technologically savvy, so all she has is a phone. She doesn't text. She doesn't do any of that stuff. And she lives in it, like I said, assisted living home. And if you know anything about assisted living homes, they have definitely been hit the hardest by COVID. In that, there haven't been any visitors. So my grandmother hasn't had any visitors in about a year. So that, and I'm sure other people, obviously, who have grandparents and are feeling the same. And it's really hard for a lot of people, especially 2020, but leading up to the time that we're in today, right now. So definitely let's reestablish those relationships, because people need you and you need people. We all need to, and we may be apart, let's say 6 feet apart or what have you. But the thing is that if you are checking in on people, making sure that they're okay, it's really important. And this was it's really significant, because, for example, with me, just to tell you a story. So I got COVID. I got COVID on Christmas Day. And it was really hard. It was because I was alone. I was by myself. So it was really hard. And I'm not, it's not hyperbole when I tell you that I literally thought I was going to die. I was in so much pain, and it hurt a lot. And I was numb. I was in pain and being numb at the same time is weird. And I just, previous to that, though, during that whole season, I was definitely reaching out to people and so forth and so on. So I'm glad that I was at least able to reach out to people before that, because I was in a world of pain, and people did call and check on me and so forth, just because I had done that for them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like what you put out to the world is exactly what you're going to get back. So establish those relationships, because people are maybe secretly, hurting, and the only saving grace may be you're checking in. And I want to say, before I start this piece right here, is that I feel that some of these things may seem like it's common sense, right? But a lot of times what I've noticed, especially when I deal with my clients, is that what is common sense is not common practice. I can tell you that we lose some of these things in some of these areas when we feel flustered, when we feel stressed. For example, I just had a client today. She is, when she gets stressed and so forth, she emotionally eats. So you eat over and over and over and over and over. So she eats. So obviously this hurts her in other ways. She gains weight. She breaks out in her face. So obviously she knows that she's not supposed to do this. But like I said, what is common sense is not common practice, especially when you are stressed. Okay. So I just want to say that. And I know that COVID has stressed a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. It is important for us, again, like I said, to remain calm among the storm, so that we can actually function effectively. Okay. The next thing I would like to say over here is that with regard to our mental health and pushing that forward, is to practice gratitude. Practicing gratitude is one of the greatest things that we can do. So when you choose, and the ways to do that is like choosing happiness. Happiness is it's sometimes we walk around happy, but when you are not feeling well, when when you've lost your job, when you have, when you're isolated, when we are psychologically broken. We have to choose happiness. Like, I don't feel it, but I'm going to choose it. I'm going to choose to be happy, even when there's not much to be happy about. And I'm going to give you an example. When I had COVID and I was like, I'm going to die tonight. I was literally going to die tonight. In that moment, I remember clearly as I chose happiness. I was happy with all the connections that I had made through my life. I was happy with all the people who checked in on me. I was happy with the people I checked in on. I chose happiness in the darkest times of my world. And I know that other people can do the same. It's always a choice. Choose happiness. Say thank you. We don't say thank you enough. I lived in Japan for years and years. They say thank you all the time. They overdo it. They say thank you all the time. Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm sorry. They say it all the time. If we say that more, this is one of the ways that we can practice gratitude. Thank you. How often have you said thank you and you meant it? Like, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. That's why I say that a lot. I say, not just thank you. I think I want to up it a little bit because I say I appreciate you because that's just a higher level for me because that's what I wish to express, that my sense of thank you. So say thank you more often. And that definitely relays a stronger level of gratitude. Execute acts of service. So I've been doing volunteer work since I was a teenager. And one of the ways that we feel better, guaranteed, is by doing for others. When you do for others, well, when you give of your time, that is the greatest type of giving, of offering that you can give another person. Why? Because time is the only thing that you can't get back. You can get back money. You can get back all these superficial things that you can't get back time that you spend giving to someone. So do that. There are places where you can there's homeless shelters, there's soup kitchens and so forth that are definitely in need during this time. And you just have to obviously wear a mask and so forth. But there are places that are open that you can actually help and seek out helping other people. There's places I know that USC does this where they actually have volunteers that go out into the community and do things like this. So look into your community and see how you can give, or just your family. But there's always these acts of service. You know your family, you know what your friends need or what they may need. Again, if you checked in on them, right, you might, ask a simple question. Is there anything you need? Seriously, is there anything you need? Anything I can do? Anything that would make your life better? When was the last time someone ever asked you that question? What's something I could do to make your life better? When was the last time you asked that to someone? What's something I could do to make your life a little better? Wow, those are powerful statements, right? And I'm sure that if you ask someone that they would respond to you, especially during these times. So take the stress and the emphasis off of us, right? And then it pushes us ahead because we're helping someone else. Going back to our practicing gratitude theme, send appreciation texts. Wow. This is a good one. How many? It's like getting mail. You always get mail and there are bills, right? Right? Isn't it nice to get a letter that says, I appreciate you? Or you get a check in the mail. Like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. It's like something that just like, wow. Okay. When you send someone a text randomly, it could be random or not, but send them a text and just say, I appreciate you. Thank you for being in my life. Just like, these small things make a big difference. I wish I could just text my grandma that, but I actually have to call her. She doesn't do the texting. But there are people, it doesn't matter. Your partner, whoever, your friend, and it doesn't matter. Just send it. I appreciate you. I'm glad that you're in my life. And if they had COVID, I'm glad that you survived COVID. Whatever the case is, if you send appreciation text, and that's a good one, people will respond in kind, definitely. Also, leave an audio text. Now, I don't have an Apple phone, an iPhone, but I hear that you could just do regular text. But I have Android, so I have WhatsApp, and I definitely do leave audio messages for people. I'm a very busy person, busy. So I usually don't leave audio messages for people until like later in the evening, but then I send it to them. And when they get up in the morning, they'll listen to it or what have you. But I definitely send audio messages that have to do with appreciation. Hey, I just want to see what you're doing, check in on you, make sure you're doing okay. And if you need anything, just let me know. And just want you to know that you're appreciated, you're loved, whatever the case is. And just do that. It could be 30 seconds. So 30 seconds is something beautiful that you can leave for someone else, because guess what? How would you feel if someone left a message like that for you? So it's not really a call. It's just more of like, you know what I'm talking about, right? If you just leave a little audio message, like you can do WhatsApp, or I think you can do that on your iPhone. So just things like that. It just makes the heart warm. It makes you, there's nothing greater to know that someone else is thinking about you. Someone has you in their heart, because you would like that for you as well. So things like that. When we keep each other in mind, we just make humanity better. So just keep that in mind. Maintain a gratitude journal. I know earlier we talked about journaling for different reasons, entertainment purpose, getting your feelings out and so forth, but this is a little more specific. This right here is about gratitude, just your journal of gratitude. What are you excited about? I was talking to one of my clients, and he was going through some things. So I said to him, hey, I want you to, let's just focus, not disregarding what he told me about some of the issues he was going through, but I said, let's focus on some things. I said, you have that 2-bedroom apartment you're in, right? That's shelter. He said, yeah, it's nice. He lives in Burbank, very nice. You have he has his girlfriend who loves him, appreciates you, get to have that, right? Many people don't have that, they went through COVID alone, or 2020, people had breakups, but he still has his girlfriend, right? Okay. He has all his limbs. He can go out and work out and do exercise. He can do that. People that can't do that, people who are disabled. So I tried to get him to focus on things that those things that he just perhaps took for granted, that he could actually write in his gratitude journal that made sense to him. So, and he did acknowledge, I do have those things. He said, my job doesn't pay much, but at least I have one, because back in, was it April of last year? May, might have been 30 in 1 month, 30 million people lost their jobs, something crazy. So we have to look at things like, I have a lot of gratitude for the things that I do have in my life. Be thankful. Again, I just want to go back and hit on some things. I noticed I said thank you, but I just feel like I should reiterate certain things. Like, I just don't think in the culture we live in that we're thankful enough for the things that we have in our lives. And I'm going to tell you something. For example, we do have certain things and we may not notice. For those who have traveled, abroad or from abroad, you understand what I'm saying right now. I have family in Latin America, for example, and when COVID really hit really hard and everything was getting locked down, there was a couple of things. They got, again, people lost their jobs, but there was no unemployment, there was no disability. In most of the world, there aren't these programs to help people. I'm not saying that we have the best here, but I'm saying they exist. In other countries, you have nothing if you're just not working. So all these places, all these countries were laying off people, but people didn't have a way to maintain where they were living. So rent was still due, even though they had no job. So there was, like I said, no unemployment, no disability, nothing to help people along, no programs from the government or within the society to help people progress. And it was really hard. So I sent thousands of dollars to Venezuela and to Chile and Peru and Argentina last year, so that I could assist people in actually living, basically. So then I looked at my life and I was very thankful for the things that I have, so that I could able to give that back to other people. How to establish work-life balance boundaries in these areas. This is a good one. So we definitely want to now prioritize our time. And we don't do this well sometimes. We're thinking about so many different things. We don't prioritize our time. And the key to this, when I coach people, the key to this is basically discipline. When I talk about coaching and life coaching, I talk to people and say, what is life coaching about? Life coaching is all about discipline. It is all about accountability. That's really what it's about. So when you prioritize your time, I notice a lot of people can actually make a schedule, but they don't stick to it. right? So we want to actually, when we make the schedule, we want to have integrity and stick to the schedule that we make. So, because we really know we wouldn't have made the schedule if we didn't think it was good for us. So prioritize your time and follow your schedule. Establish me time. Okay. So for those who have, perhaps kids or those who have other responsibilities, we don't give to ourselves enough. Okay. You don't establish this time is for me. A lot of times we think that this is selfish. No. On planes, what happens on planes when they always say, just in case in emergency, in a case of emergency, if the masks come down, then what do they say? Put it on your face first before you help someone else with their mask, right? That should be your rule of life. Help yourself first. It's not selfish, because if you can't function as an individual because you didn't establish me time, you didn't take care of yourself, then you cannot help, and it's impossible to help other people. Stick to your work time schedule. I kind of went over that a little bit, kind of jumped ahead, but when you create a schedule, stick to it. Integrity. When you create a schedule, stick to it. Integrity. And just say, so for example, and this is a good one, you got the schedule, and on at 6 o'clock it says workout, and you're like, I'm tired. You don't want to do that one. I'm tired. Guess what? If you were going to go work out for an hour, even 30 minutes is better than nothing. Right? So go do that. And I want to say this because I do love it. I do jujitsu. I fight. So I do jujitsu all the time. And there are so many times where I don't feel like going to class and actually fighting 250-pound men. I don't feel like doing that, but I do it anyway because I know it's good for me. And that's what discipline is. Discipline is something positive that you do despite how you feel. So it doesn't matter if you don't feel like it. You just do it because that's what you're supposed to do. It's like, because I'm a disciplined individual, like those people who get up at 4:30 to go running or what have you, they do it because they're disciplined. Good for them. Going back to the exercise piece, I want to put that down here again to stress the exercise piece. And I did hear a medical podcast. It was a couple of months ago, and it talked about people a lot of people were gaining weight over COVID and so forth. And it said that people who were 40 pounds, 50 pounds overweight were 700 times more likely to get COVID and die. And I was like, wow, that was the first time I heard that one, but all these things make sense. So just keeping ourselves in as good a shape as possible as we go through these turbulent times is definitely very important. Be realistic. The realistic aspect is, if you put together a schedule, is it realistic? Can you work 14 hours a day? Maybe not, because if you fall asleep at 9 o'clock, maybe you need to get up earlier. I'm a night person. I can go to 2 or 3 in the morning and still work. That's just who I am. I'm not a morning person. So I know that I can work until 2, right? No issues. And I'm not a good functioning person at 6:30. I just don't prefer that, even though I was in the military, but do what you have to do, but be realistic with what you can do with your schedule. If you're a night person, a morning person, what you can do. So just plan that out. And I noticed, for example, after I would do my work for the day, I could not get a lot of work done at night if I went to jujitsu, because jujitsu was draining. I'll be really tired. So I would just have to think about the things that I could do. So be realistic with your schedule and what you can do with that, and know your body and know who you are. Again, the last piece I want to say here is take care of yourself. I've said this many times before. No one is going to take better care of you than you. That's a fact. No one. No one's going to come to your, I'm not saying no one, but you can't count on that someone's going to come to rescue you from yourself. You have to take care of you. So no one is going to take better care of you than you. Tips for transitioning back to normal life after the pandemic is over. I don't know when this is going to be quote unquote over. Like I said, it was just yesterday where I saw an increase of COVID cases in like 23 states. So it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. So I don't know when this is going to be over. I don't even know what that means. Maybe this is a part of everyday life, kind of like the flu, where now we're flu season, now we have COVID season. I honestly don't know. But what can we do to transition back into as much of normal life as possible? Okay. So I want to say this, that what we do now, right here, says immediate post-pandemic success depends on what you do now. So what you do now right, will affect what happens later. And it's always like that. It's always like, so I did stress about, a workout regimen. I did talk about that. So again, a lot of my clients, they come to me, and about half of them say that that they want to get into a regular workout routine because, let's say, weight gain and so forth. Some of them talk about they want to go back to school. So I said, well, good, but you can still go to school online. So what they're doing is that they're preparing their life and still running on their life, but they are preparing their life for, post-pandemic structure, and they want to actually better themselves now, or have a plan so that when they come out of this pandemic, right, or this with quotes, that they can be even better individuals. So those types of things, what you do now will dictate what happens in the future for you. And I want to say this, given again an example of what I'm talking about. I'm a pretty disciplined individual, I say, and what happened was when I got COVID, it was devastating. It was devastating in the sense that, psychologically and again, because in the isolation and no one was physically there. But I had already established who I was. I'd already established a certain level of discipline and resiliency within myself beforehand, which allowed me and pushed me through, at least psychologically, through what was happening, because I had COVID for 3 weeks. I was in body aches and pains, and I lost my taste and lost my voice and respiratory issues as well. 3 weeks. I'd never been sick that long. But again, I want to say how this relates is that I had already established having a certain level of discipline and resiliency to, my toolbox. And that right there, from what I had established before, had allowed me to push through in this specific area. So what we do now definitely dictates what happens to us in the future. Execute on the things that you didn't or couldn't before, personally and professionally. So kind of relates to the same thing. If you have more time, because you got laid off, or what have you, if you have more time, or you have a different time, because like I said, now you don't have to spend an hour, let's just say, in traffic, or 2 hours in Los Angeles, or what have you. You don't have to do that. Maybe you could still work from home. A lot of people are working from home. So again, so that means that maybe you can go to school. So instead of spending 2 hours in traffic, you don't have to do that. That's something to be grateful for, right? So now perhaps you can want to go back to school. So now you don't have to think, oh, I have to spend 2 hours in traffic, I'm going to be exhausted. No. Right at 5 o'clock, you can jump right into your master's course or your doctoral course or what have you, because you're home. So you could just do that. So execute on things that you couldn't do before to push your life ahead. So those are kind of examples of what I want to give right there. But and again, going back to the workout piece, of just like, okay, like I have a half an hour break, I can go for a quick run or what have you, something like that, as opposed to, oh, I can't get my suit and tie dirty because I'm at work. So just different things about how we can just restructure life based upon what's happening in our world. Some other transition tips are to establish the greatest of relationships that you can have with those in your circle. This is really huge. And just to go back to what I was kind of saying before, in that our relationships are key. That's we're people. I need you, you need me. As much as we think that we're none of us are on our own little island. We need people. We need to connect. Whether you need to connect with your friends, you need to connect with family. And I want to say, when I say I'm going to go visit family, and I'm going actually leaving. I'm going to this month. I'm going to go visit family in Latin America, and so when I say family, that's not blood. I met these people 20 years ago and so forth. And to me, that they're deep, deep family. We've known each other for such a long time and so forth. Now they kind of spread out a little bit, different countries. But family to me isn't blood necessarily. It is the people, who express just love and affection for you and interest in you. So establish those relationships with people that bring you closer to yourself and bring you closer to them as well. So establish those, and I can't state that enough. So what's something else? Okay, so reconcile that job that you don't feel passionate about, right? So those things actually are as important, because now definitely when we're isolated and we're not around people, we can definitely start reflecting more. That's what meditation is for, and other things. We can start reflecting and say, do I like my job? What's going on with my job? Can I have a better job? What's going on? What do I want to do with myself? It allows us to reflect and think that I can better my life. And some of us, for example, those who had perhaps even had COVID, perhaps even almost died, can relate and say, I'm spending all this time doing things that I don't want to do. I'm going to spend time doing things and transitioning to things that I do want to do. So sometimes tragedy can also get us to see the things that we should prioritize. And those things are definitely important if we want to move our lives ahead. So definitely, sometimes we get into these areas where it's like, what was I thinking before? What was I doing before? Why was I wasting my time on this? Why was I wasting my time on this person? Reevaluate your world, especially in times of isolation, where you can reflect, and then from there, make a plan out to move forward. Immediate and implementable positive daily habits and actionable items. So what happens was, when people come to me, clients, for example, I tell them that my process is that I take people from where they are versus where they want to be, and I help them bridge the gap between those two worlds. So that's what actionable items are. So we work backwards. We establish a goal, and then we work backwards to actually establish that goal. And week by week, we get there, and we have benchmarks and so forth. One of those things here is that when we look at these actionable items for this piece right here, it talks about don't take anything for granted. We kind of talked about that with gratitude, but it's easy to do that. It's easy to take for granted the fact that we live where we live, or we have have a friend, because some of us had no one to talk to. Last year, suicide shot up, mental illness shot up, domestic violence shot up, divorce shot up. Like, these things skyrocketed. And if you didn't experience any of those things, that's something to be grateful for. I'll tell you that. Invest in being the best, most complete person you can be. Definitely 100%. That's what this is about. So again, in the storm, you can be the calm in the storm. I love that piece where the tornado, right? The eye of the storm is calm. There's nothing happening in the eye of the tornado. It's very calm. And I would like for us, ideally, to us all to be able to function very calmly in any storm and circumstance that we're dealt. Piece right here, can't reiterate enough. Cement that circle. After we're done here, text that person. Tell them you care for them. Tell them you love them. Tell them this. Or someone else. I appreciate you. Let's catch up. Let's Zoom. Let's do this, that, or the other. Cement that circle, because again, you never know what's going to happen to people. You just never know. And make time for activities that bring you joy. That's the other thing. We get out of this. We're just like, oh, I can't do this. I'm quite sure that there are things that you enjoy doing, perhaps even in isolation. As things begin to open up, then we can get back to doing the things that we like to do. But make time for things that bring you joy. Again, we oftentimes neglect ourselves and neglect who we are to either tend to other people. We get dragged into all this work that we have to do, have to make up for all this lost time or what have you. Create that time for yourself. It's really important. No one is going to take better care of you than you. So that's the end. Hope it was painless. Fight on, as we always do, all right, here at USC. And I am open to any questions that you may have.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Bullock. That was an incredible presentation. I personally am going to take away quite a few things from there that I'm going to make sure I'm practicing every day. I especially love your tip on sending the audio messages. That's something that was a little strange for me at first, because some friends started doing it with me, and I'm so used to just sending texts and whatnot. But they're actually very enjoyable, and a lot of my conversation threads with people are just those, if it's an iPhone, doing that, holding it down, sending the message, listening to it, especially like you said, if you're on the go. But also to add to that, for anyone who still has Snapchat, someone sent me a voice message through Snapchat as well. And so that's always useful to use. So getting to the Q&A, the first questions that we have asked from Brianna. It's actually there's two really great questions. So I'll just ask you the first one and let you answer, and then we'll get to the second one. For the first question, what are your tips for individuals who are affected a bit differently by quarantine due to living alone?
Affected. So I would have to know like how they're affected a bit different, like how the specific, I don't know if they can elaborate a little bit, how they're affected a bit differently. In what way are they affected? I need a little more information on that one, but I think that, living alone, I do know about that piece right there. There has to be this connection to other people. There has to, as I was stating before, there definitely has to be this connection to other people, because you're alone, and it's horrible. And even I've known people who have definitely clients who have actually almost like gone crazy because they can't do anything, they can't be anywhere. Everyone's scared. They can't go outside. They can't do this. They can't do that. So I just want to say that it's really important for you to reach out to people, say, hey, or Zoom helps. I do this all day with clients, but I think that doing this with family is definitely a help. I've definitely gotten into that. I was definitely doing Zoom with people in different countries. I was connecting with people. I believe that's the number one issue, unless there's something else I don't know about. But again, from that thing on, you can also exercise at home. It's a 400 series that I actually give my clients. There is where it is. No one likes what this part that we're going to say, but it's because everyone hates it. But it's 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and 100 burpees. And if you can do that every day at home, you're good. So I don't know how it's affecting you, but whether it's affecting you physically, affecting you psychologically, but there's definitely different ways to connect with people. And actually, one of my other clients took that and actually started a workout group where she Zooms two other people and they actually work out together online. So that's actually fantastic. I didn't think about that, but she did that. So these are the type of things that your connection with people during this time is really important. And I hopefully answered your question.
Yeah, and she clarified just generally like being by yourself
Yes.
versus being surrounded by family or roommates. So
yeah, exactly.
Great. And then the second question, any top tips for transitioning into the more socialized atmospheres once we get to that point?
Top tips into getting into, sorry, what was the question? Socializing?
Yeah, into like socializing, post-COVID, once things start opening up and, we're probably past all of the social distancing and things are going back to whatever the new normal may be. Any tips for that transition and going back into those, old regular in-person social groups?
So I would just say that in order, I don't know where you are with regard to thinking about COVID and so forth, but I don't know if Texas opened up today. Was it today? They completely opened up and so forth. So I would say, depending on where you are in that sensitivity level to COVID, just be safe. So if you've not had it, and just be safe. I think just take your own precautions. Do what makes you feel comfortable. So let's just say you're out and there's like, okay, we don't have to wear masks now. If you want to wear a mask, then then wear a mask. Like do what you need to do that you feel takes care of yourself. So that's what I would say about transitioning, because there are a lot of people that as soon as the state says or what have you, like, oh, you don't need masks, and people are just there are a lot of people that are not going to wear them. And then there may be people that will. So I just think that doing what you feel is comfortable for you and safe for you is the key to transitioning. So that's a piece right there. In a social environment. So that I think that's the piece right there. I would still for a while stay away from the clubs and, things like that and go on parties and so forth. I would still kind of stay just a little bit, just to give it some breathing room a little bit, but I wouldn't just run back to the club just because it's open.
Awesome. And another question from an anonymous attendee. Thank you for this presentation, Dr. Bullock. What advice would you have for someone dealing with generalized anxiety disorder who wants to have that integrity with keeping a consistent schedule but experiences fatigue and brain fog?
That's a deeper one. I do deal with anxiety and people who have anxiety. So we're connecting productivity to anxiety. Okay, so that's a bigger question, but I will say that I would need to know if your anxiety is the reason that that these other things are happening. I don't know if they're two separate issues or they're together. If one is feeding off of the other. A lot of times when we're not performing to our greatest of capacities, and we're procrastinating, that can give us anxiety, right? So, or if we just have general anxiety, then we procrastinate. So they kind of feed off of each other. So if there was a time, perhaps email me, right? contact@clintonbullock.com, contact@clintonbullock.com, or clintonbullock.com will work. We can actually just, again, have a 20-minute conversation for free. We can talk about it, because I deal with this all the time and I want to get a little specific in that area. But long story short, I would have to see if your anxiety is basically the nucleus and it's affecting your ability to be productive, or if you are, let's just say, I don't know, not being productive over here because of some other block, but because of that procrastination, whatever, it's feeding back into, and you're anxious because of those reasons. So I would have to see what that is, but definitely, just a quick answer would be focusing on, let's say if it's anxiety, focus on what actually makes you anxious. Like a lot of times we know what makes us anxious. Okay. So focus on that. There's actually breathing techniques, like I said, that we can do, and accomplishing things, raising our self-esteem, and not shying away from those things that make us feel vulnerable and weak. Those types of things make our self-esteem go up, lessening the level of anxiety. A lot of times, for example, and I give you a thought, another thought, before I came on here, they said, oh, all these people registered and so forth. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a little nervous and so forth. And then someone texted me and they said, why do you have anxiety? Like, you know what you're talking about. You're prepared, all these other things and so forth. Oh, of course. Oh yeah. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on what's happening in your world. But definitely with the anxiety, we need to see if it's the cause of all these other things or it's a result. So we have to look at that piece right there.
Great. Next question from another anonymous attendee. How do you recommend we track these practices to make sure we do them?
Write them down. So definitely write them down. So you have a schedule. I tell, and it's very simple, but again, we don't do these things. So write them down. I am going to, depending on your level of what you need to write down depends on your level of discipline. So I have a good level of discipline. So for example, if I say I'm going to go to jiu-jitsu 3 times this week, I don't have to write down when. I just know I'm going to go 3 times a week. But there are people that need to actually create a schedule out, because they don't write it down, it's not going to get done. So you write it out. You actually have all this out. See, Monday, I'm doing XXX, to write down their whole day. And I had one of my clients do this, and to the point that they were asleep. You understand? So it's like, because and time their sleep, I'm going to sleep 7 hours, 8 hours, and I'm going to get up at 5 and I'm going to do X. Now the integrity part comes in actually doing it. The discipline comes in actually doing that piece. So I just want to say, how do you do it? Write it down and say, this is gold. This is the Bible right here, or whatever that is. And say, this is what I'm going to get done. And then just follow that specific plan every single day. I know for a fact when I'm dropping weight to fight for a tournament, I have to become more disciplined in my eating. I have to do these specific things. So then I write everything out about what I'm going to do for the week, and I do it. And I know I trust the process, and I know that if I do X, then I will be successful.
Great. And yeah, I definitely agree with that. I live by my calendar each and every day. And just the other day, I was considering typing up a Sunday through Saturday schedule, since I'm sure, like everyone else, I have a bunch of recurring meetings or things that I know I want to get done every day, and just getting it laminated and like writing on it, just to keep track of things or like check it off. So I love that. But yeah, next question from Kimberly. You've made a wonderful presentation. What precautions would you take to go traveling to see your extended family in Latin America?
So, just the precautions that they advise. So I think that from what I've read up on, that and just mask, obviously, and then there's some social distancing, quarantine. When I get there, I'm going to just go straight to them. So we're not going to be partying or any, obviously, things like that, but I do want to see them. And then I have to get another negative test done. Well, test and it'll be negative before I go. So these are some of the precautions. We can't. Nothing is 100%. I got COVID by just going to the supermarket. I don't know. I wasn't doing anything crazy. I was just living my life, and I wasn't going out much either. So I think that nothing is fail proof. But I just do think that those precautions would be just mass social distancing, quarantining. I'm going to be with just them, while I'm there, and mostly obviously inside, and then was the last piece. Oh, and also getting I think I have to get a negative test like 2 days before I leave. So yeah.
Great. Another question from an anonymous attendee. What are some good tips for reaching out to people we haven't connected with in a while? After being in quarantine so long, I'm nervous to reach out to people I haven't spoken to since last year.
Just do it. I had people contact me I hadn't heard from in a while. It's beautiful. It's like what other time in your life would this happen? And this is a great time to reconnect with people. It doesn't matter that you haven't connected with someone in a year. It doesn't matter at all. Again, I've had people reach out to me. It's been 6 months. It's been a year. They say, hey, how you doing? I hope that you're okay, and so forth and so on. So it should be less difficult than you think, just because of the circumstances. Now, the issue could be why you haven't talked to this person. I don't know. Did you have a fight? Did you whatever? But regardless of the reason, this is a great time to actually go back and even reconcile that, right? So if you have something happen, you didn't talk to this person in a year, now you can go back, hey, just checking on you. Everything okay? Whatever. And then from there, maybe you can go into some falling out that you had or what have you. So whether you had a falling out or not, there's no better time to connect with someone than right now.
Next question. What are some easy exercises you recommend for those with busy work from home schedules, between balancing work, children, other things going on?
What was the first part? What are some
easy exercises you recommend?
Okay. So easy exercises, it depends what we're working for. Like I said, when I talk to my clients, just to go back to the piece that I said, there's always, if you have, I don't know how your place is set up, but if you have a place where you can actually do your, something that works some strength and also cardio as well. So for example, that's why I do advise the push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and burpees. Those are the 4 that's going to take care of everything, all of your needs, all of your strengths. Push-ups, obviously arms and chest, sit-ups, stomach, squats, legs, and burpees, cardio. So I call it the 400 series. Of course, most people can't do 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 burpees, but you do as many as you can and you journal it. So for example, on day 1, let's say I can't get to 100, but I did 30 push-ups. Great. And the next day you do 35, like whatever the case is, you keep working toward that goal. And when I'm telling you right now, give you that challenge. The day that you do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and 100 burpees, you're going to feel like you had accomplished so much in life. You're like, I can't believe I just completed the 400 series. So you can do that or any variation of that. But the point is to do as much as you can so that you can, not be victim to COVID-19 and get those 19 pounds. So
Next question. It's been a long time since journaling. How do I overcome the mental roadblock of beginning that writing process and sticking with the routine?
Okay, so begin is just doodling, jotting things down. You don't have to actually write stuff. How are you feeling today? And you just start to jot I felt sad. Why did you feel sad? I feel sad because, I just remembered I haven't seen my grandmother in 5 months. Okay, next thing, I'm happy because my dog is with me. My dog makes me smile. Great. So you write down little things. They don't have these sentences. Just write down little things so that you begin the process. It's all about baby steps sometimes with people, and psychologically, it's like, how do I get out of this? So baby steps. So that's write down your feelings. We're always feeling something, right? Write down your feelings. Write down why you're feeling that way. That's how you start, and you progress. Now, how do you stick to that? Again. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. It's called discipline. So you create this schedule like from 5 to 6 every day, 6 to 7, or maybe you journal before you go to bed between 9 and 10 o'clock. Every night I'm going to journal. Okay. Even if you're just writing down your feelings, So when you do that, you said this is, or set your alarm. Oh, I forgot to mention this. I should have mentioned this actual presentation. Set your alarm. You know why? Because I have alarms for everything. Everything I have alarms for. Why? So I know that something was annoying and basically yelled at me to get something done. So it was like ding or whatever. And then I was like, okay, it's 6 o'clock. I know I need to do X or what have you. So set your alarm to do the things that you want to do. I mean, if I didn't have alarms, what have you, I would never have any clients because I have to keep my clients on the schedule and so forth. But as far as this journaling, like I said, just go back really quickly, set an alarm and say at 9, 10 o'clock, I'm going to journal, and your phone will ring and be like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing at this time. Don't be realistic. When I go back to that, start 2 times a week. Okay. And if you really enjoy it, do again 3 times a week. So you want to expand out, but start small.
Great. I think we have time for maybe 2 more questions. You've mentioned a bit about sleep. Do you have any advice for establishing better sleep habits?
Yes. So I don't have this issue because I can fall asleep anywhere. Because I can, but definitely my clients definitely have had some issues falling asleep. What you have to do is put yourself to bed. Basically like a child, exactly the way it sounds, you have to put yourself to bed. So certain people, they have certain sleeping habits where they have issues getting to sleep or staying asleep. So what I tell my clients is this. So is you have to put yourself to bed. What this means is that what I've told my clients is, for example, things that make you rest. Okay. Number one, let's say your bedtime's at 10. So I'm a morning person. I'll get up at 6, but I need to get to bed by 10. Fine. Put your phone on, stop messing with your phone at 9 o'clock. Okay. Give yourself some time off of that. No Facebook, no Instagram, just let it breathe. Put your phone on vibrate or your phone on just, nothing at all, and then that's number 1, get rid of that distraction. Number 2, shower. Showers are amazing, therapeutic, rest your body. Like the day, it levels you. Okay. That's number 2, rest your body. Number 3, after you get out the shower, stretch. I'm serious about this. Stretch. Get down on the floor, try to, sit down, try to get your head to your knees, stretch your back, the whole thing. It feels really good. It just puts you down more. And the number 4 piece to that would be to do the breathing, any type of breathing exercise. There's an app called Calm. Calm is an app that you can do that with. Breathing exercise as you go to sleep. And because the breathing exercise that we do is very simple. It's long story short, is where you breathe in through your nose, hold it for a second, and then breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose, hold it for a second, and then breathe out through your mouth deeply. And the goal is to get to 30. And if you get to 30, you're great. You won't get to 30 because your mind is going to go and think about other stuff. So if you get to 30, if you don't get to 30, just start over. Okay. If you don't get to 30, just start over. What number was I on? If you count your breaths, that's key. So that's the key to that. And if you want to get more information, like I said, you can contact me. We can talk about that. But those definitely establish sleep patterns, and get people into like resting their bodies and preparing for rest, and allows them to sleep for the time that they need to. And oftentimes people you're like, oh, I get up in the middle of the night or whatever. When they do this, they don't. So again, one more time, put that phone away an hour early, get that shower, relax your body, stretch after your shower. It feels really good, I promise you. And then also the last is to do a breathing exercise while you're in bed with the notion of putting yourself to sleep.
Awesome. And last question, that'll be great to end with, just given how relevant it is for a lot of people, I'm sure. How do you fight home office stress? Like work from home.
Oh, how do you fight the stress from working from home? Is that the question?
Yeah, how do you fight home office stress? So I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, for Marcia, but a lot of people, as they're working from home, you have like your home office set up. Not everyone's in the traditional office building anymore. How do you fight that stress of working from home?
But it depends what stress you're feeling. So if some people are, because of that nature, they have kids, and now the kid is home and they're in school, and they, mommy, can you help me with this? And I don't know what the stress may be, but there could be that stress that people aren't leaving you alone. You know what I mean? That's definitely one where your partner is like, hey, can we? I have work to do. Like, oh my God, I have a job. Like, so that could be it. It can also be the issue. Maybe she wants to clarify, but maybe there's also this piece where it kind of like the imposter syndrome, where we have this thing, we feel like, oh, well, I have to do this work, or I have to do more because I feel like they'll think I'm being lazy at home. A lot of people have that. They just feel like, oh, I'm being, they think I'm home and I don't want them to fire me. I don't want anything to happen to me. So I have to do more work. So actually they're working more from home than they would at a regular job, that when they were actually in an actual office. So I don't know what the actual stresses would be, but those are the two that I encounter most often with my clients, is that their family won't leave them alone. And the other piece is that they feel as though they need to do more and work more because of fear that their boss might think they're not really working or what have you. And then so they start thinking about, well, and with everyone losing their job, I don't want to lose mine. So it's that piece right there. So if those are any of your issues, I would say you need to establish boundaries with family members and, and anybody in the house. That's a key right there. Establish boundaries, and that I'm working from this time to this time. I need this time alone unless I come out of this office. Then you can bother me, but I have to get this work done. Please do not disturb me unless it's an absolute emergency. You need to stand your ground in that regard. And as far as working more to compensate from not being in the office, there is that piece right there. So just know that, as long as you're not being told that anything is wrong, nothing's wrong. Okay. So that's it right there. Do your regular job, do what you normally do. But like I said, as long as someone doesn't come to you and say, hey, can we pick up the work in this area, what have you, then you're doing a fantastic job.
Great. Thank you for joining us this evening, everyone. And thank you so much to Dr. Bullock for being a wonderful presenter. This event was recorded and will be available across our social channels. Again, that's USC Young Alumni. We hope to see you all at our future events, and we hope you have a great rest of your evening. Thank you.